I'm so proud to stand here and to talk to you as the first chairman of the Berkeley Middle East Investors Club. The history of this club is actually going back to the Berkeley Middle East Investment Forum, which since decades already was a vehicle to organize and implement some different investments all over the planet, but in a pretty small environment and mainly as a forum and not as a club. And then we decided to have this huge event about Africa. It was called A Rising Sub-Sahara, and it was an enormous success, and we have been approached by many different countries and individuals, mainly from Africa, of course. We had Ghana coming, we had Congo coming, we had Kenya coming, asking to do the same thing for them, and even from other sides of the world we have been approached for the same reason. So we decided to transform this forum into a more dynamic, more global and mainly a lot bigger vehicle in order to have all those people on one platform. So the vision of the club is clear. We want to bring all those elements, all those factors together, which are important to have a successful investment business. That's, of course, on one hand, the investors, the one who has the money, who has is even happy to invest money somewhere, and on the other side, an investee, someone who needs the money and can show attractive projects to invest in. And in between these two ends are a lot of specialists needed to make it a successful project. We need those professionals who are here to implement. We have the advisors who know exactly what is needed in different countries in order to have a successful implementation. We have organized a lot of expert committees who can, in different directions of the industry, be it in agriculture, be it in mining, be it in infrastructure, be it in even hospitality or healthcare, who come along with a huge and long expertise in this environment, who can advise what to do that is going to be a successful endeavor. An important part of a club, of course, is as well the member. Therefore, we have different levels of memberships. We have the billionaire, millionaire memberships, which is actually reserved for those high-level individuals who are actually typically those who come to have a look where to invest, who are interested in lucrative and alternative investments. We have as well the professional memberships, professional and SME memberships. These are more those members who are actually here then to find some assignments, to help to implement, who have already experience in these regions where the investment should be done, and who can help on the spot to implement these projects. And then, last but not least, very important, we have as well the diplomat members, because we would like to have all those government bodies on board as well. These are the people who can grant environment in their nations, in their homes, where this investment can be implemented fruitfully. So we are here to make the world a better place. We are here to help wherever needed to do the necessary investments to have the local people living on a better level, living a better life. And we do that with our very strongly defined values like integrity, professionalism, credibility, accountability, and ethical behavior. I hope to see you somewhere in our club, even probably maybe sometime as a member. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Good evening and good morning in the United States and wherever you are listening, what is your time zone. I welcome you in this show, Pearl of Africa. I'm very much honored to talk about Africa today. Africa is 1.4 billion people, a culture, history, amazing dynamics, ecosystem, and female population is almost 50%. And based on our continuous focus on achieving a free education, free healthcare, free and secure future for a woman. It's an effort from Berkeleyme and Musa Shaikh Foundation. So I welcome you on this board. I'm really excited that we have the world best African women with us today to share their lovely thoughts, their insights, how they think about a woman in Africa, what are their challenges, what success stories they have, how they transform themselves without any push-ups and facilities available, how they come up and show to the world that they are really successful women. So it's a great opportunity to listen all these African women who was bold, courageous, dynamic, innovative, progressive, loving to humanity and the mankind. We will start our discussion with a bit introduction with the Berkeleyme initiative with myself as a global woman foundation in order to achieve some common objective which we feel are really important. So the foundation is actually focusing on certain points, these objectives. That the first objective is legislation, which is really important. If you want to bring a change in a country, you have to change the management, the leadership, and the thinking at the top. If you change your political systems, your politicians, your ruling class mentality, if you build women focus and women prosperity and women health care, women education and opportunities for women and the protection of women, things can change. So that's why we start our objective with the legislation. We sit with the governments. We discuss if they have infrastructure, they have legal frameworks. Is there any law which is an obstacle in the progress of a women? Are they taking it as a priority as they give priority to the other sectors? Are they only busy in bringing investments in their country, or is really they are working on their social infrastructure? This is the most important point that we should focus on. So we discuss with governments, we sit with them, we negotiate, we try to find ways where women can be more, where women can get more opportunities in terms of all these sectors that I explained you. Our next objective is, of course, achieving like we want to focus on, we are focusing on women entrepreneurship. We want women to lead from the front because already we saw that there are a lot of women and the proposition between men and women is changing. The challenges, the cost of living and the standard of living are changing. So we need women to be self-employed, making their own money, not dependent on anyone, financially independent. So for that, we are focusing on women entrepreneurship. So we try to create those projects, we try to create those funds in collaboration of different stakeholders that can, where a woman can approach. Either it's a seed capital, or it's startups, or it's moving into a next phase of SME. So we help women to get these funds without any hassle. Not only the funds, even the expertise, because we know that for a SME startup, we need a very good marketing. They need a good website. They need to have some search engine optimization, because now business is moving on electronically. Even after COVID-19, the business styles has been revolutionized. So so we give them assistant as business plan, in which we cover the financial plan end to end. We see how the startup will look after 1 year, 2 year, and 5 years. So this is really, really an amazing effort by the foundation, which women, already more than 1,000 women across the globe has been benefit from this effort, and this process will continue for a long period of time. So what we do is we do give trainings, free trainings. We build up them as entrepreneurs. That's also really important. And Berkeley Middle East Training and Berkeley School of Business is really doing a great job. It's money is not an obstacle for you. If you have a business idea, you feel you are really good, and you think you are innovative, and you are looking for experts, assistance, mentorship, we all are available for you. You are just a one website away. Just go on our website, fill the form, and we are there for you, for giving you the expertise. So we feel that not everyone can be a self-employed or entrepreneur. I mean, there are different mindset. Some women want to lead from the front. Some want to be a part of an organization where they can contribute their role. So equally, it's important to create entrepreneurship with employment opportunities. And this is actually vice versa when you create an entrepreneurship for a women. So, I mean, a small setup, you can see they need an admin, they need a small secretary, and as the business will grow, they will need sales team. So 4 or 5 people employment will generate. And this has a multiplier effect. If there are women who is across the globe, and if we know that US economy and any economy is totally dependent on small, medium enterprises, SMEs, startups, and the seed businesses who are just in a conceptual stages, because it create a mechanism of economic development, and ultimately it grow up your GDP as well. So we create those projects which are really important, and which create jobs. So what we do, what we saw in the developing countries, that developing country women, which is living below the poverty line, or they are not as educated as they should be, because governments didn't focus on their free education, they didn't excite them to study. It was their role, but they couldn't do that. So the women couldn't prepare herself for future challenges, to add contribution in the society through the job placements or the work experiences. So what we saw that in developing country, agriculture is always a big sector. So we try to produce a project which will be around the agriculture sector. This sector we will place, and their women will be first trained, kept, and uplifted in terms of serving that employer better way. So it will be a resource skill enhancement plus followed by a job. So agriculture is really bringing a lot of employment for people. Manufacturing is really important. Manufacturing has sometimes there are industries where you need a female hand, which is mostly tender and required for picking, and especially in cotton and other industries. So where women is really needed, if we skill them and we give them an opportunity to work, so at the same time we can enhance their skills, and on the other hand they can get a job. So agriculture, manufacturing, tourism. If you go to China, for example, you will see most of the tourist guides, the Chinese girls. They are speaking a better English, and they are the one who is actually giving you a tour assistant. So tourism can also be a very good sector. And the livestock, there is dairy. These are all where we can plug in the women who is technical, vocational, and of course, if the woman is high end, more skilled oriented, we should bring them into the top management. And where the issue, as you know, that most of the women are not CEOs in the high organization, still man dominant management. So there is a gender balance discussion, of course, related to it. So in terms of job creation, of course, every job requires education. So what we have an objective is that every government should make sure that their women, kids, female, at least, I mean, it's ideal that they can do it for a male and female kid as well, but let's focus on limited resources. We can focus on female education because we believe that if a female is educated, you educate the whole family. Like the first woman that I interact with was my mother, and she was a fully educated woman. She taught me English, she taught my language, and she gave me a vision that we have to study and grow and then contribute to society through our efforts. So if imagine like if my mom is not educated, she can only give me a love, but she cannot give me the things that is required for upgrading, progressive technology, innovation, creativity. This is really important that we educate our women. And you see that all the women exploited in workplace harassment and job place issues comes because a woman is suppressed by only that she don't have money, and if there is no money, she is being exploited by a man dominant employer society. At every doorstep she has a problem. So at least if the government make education free, create some opportunities with the help of private sector. I mean, it's all public-private partnerships, and but it's focused. It should be focused on women. Please, governments, please, you have to. I mean, there was an age when there was no communication, no satellite, no television. Now it's pretty simple. I mean, you have to compare yourself with the best in class. If any country is taking a lead, why they are taking lead? Why can't you? So the women education, getting a free education. I mean, as the girl come in this world, as we register a birth certificate, her schooling, her college, her PhD, or whatever she want to do, please, this is really important that you understand that a woman education can bring peace, harmony, prosperity in this world. An educated man, an educated woman combination is perfect. Women population is growing, and women want fresh financial freedom. This is really important that we should make infrastructures, funding, and legislation related to free education for the girls. Healthcare is really important. A lot of women are giving birth on the roads, in the tents. Half of them are dying. This is a miserable situation in some developing countries. We need to do something for healthcare. This is humanity. How can we ignore these things? This is really not, I mean, not humanistic. I mean, everyone is thinking about how to increase the GDP, or what is the rate of dollar, how to convert the currency, how to fix the fiscal deficit, how to do the current account surpluses. But no one is talking about healthcare, free healthcare, availability of doctors, availability of medicines in order to protect a woman's life is really our responsibility as a man. I mean, especially those countries who are Muslim countries. I mean, they should know their Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said that a man is responsible for a woman protection, education, and health, and anything that she lives with. It's a concept of this is the way Islam protect a woman through a man, that a man has to do a work for a woman happiness, pleasure, healthcare, and all that things. This is really important. Please come to your objectives. Look at yourself. That how much you are thinking when you sleep before every night. Did you ask this question that have we make a change in a woman's life today? Did we do something which will give them a better health care, a free education, and an opportunity for job or opportunity work? This is extremely, extremely important to build a woman, because building a woman is building a nation. If you see United States, if you see United Kingdom, they are advanced, they are good, because women is equally shoulder by shoulder standing with a man and trying to do what they do at their best. So the combination of men and women is really perfect. We need to come out of old traditional mentality to throw women inside the home and let them die. No life. This is not is a right approach in any religion, any culture. Please look into, and this is really important. In developing countries, we saw that women is in sometime in danger. They have physical threats, they have harassments when they come on the road. People try to physically abuse them. If they can't, then they verbally abuse them. They whistle them. They follow them till they are going. They make their life hell. So, secondly, like if they are doing some business, the other parties are not giving them their monies, their receivables are not coming, and opposite, there are incidences where people throw acid on their faces. They kidnap them, they kidnap their kids, they abuse them. And extreme cases, we know that there is a growing issue in kids rapes and women rape. This is extremely not acceptable, and everyone has to think about this, because this is a burning issue. Things are not aligned, because the connectivity from legislation to execution is not true in some developing countries. If you study them, you will feel that they have no focus on physical protection of a woman, their free education, free healthcare. This need to be more in focus. So we are working on women and child protection centers in the developing countries, which are really, really required. If you see all the developing countries, what happened is that now the proposition is changed. I'm looking that there are old parents, they have no son, they have only daughters. So imagine that when they become old, who's going to feed them, who's going to take care of them, right? So the dynamics of developing countries are changing. So, and most of there are dispute between sister-in-law and mother-in-law. Sometimes mother-in-law is beaten by sister-in-law. There are a lot of incidences in sort of domestic violences between, and abuse, parent elderly abuses. So please, we need to work on it. We need to change the legislation, that how the old parents will be taken care. And if there is no one to take care, of course, we need to provide them the shelters, fully protected, well equipped with healthcare, because in old age is what you need, a food and a healthcare, so you can have your life prolonged. There are governments like, for example, Saudi Arabia and other countries who are focusing on increasing the average life of a citizen. Look, what is the beautiful objective that some countries have, that they love their citizen too much, that they are focusing that how to enhance their average life by providing them the healthier lifestyle and, of course, an ecosystem around the country. Of course, as in continuation is our last objective that we are focusing on is a free education and is a free justice, because the main exploitation of a woman is because she don't have access to justice. You will be surprised, like in developing country, if a woman don't want to live with a man husband, she need years and years to take a divorce, and it's not easy, and society is so closed, and woman life is a hell. Some women suicide. They try to suicide. Better to live in this world because the mechanisms are really, really difficult for the women. So that's why we have special focus for Berkeleyme and Musa Shaikh Foundation in order to create a real change in a woman life. Woman is our precious asset. We need to love them. The first woman we saw is our mother. The second woman we saw is our sisters. The third woman that we saw is our wife, through which we spend a lot of life. And then the last that we see is our daughter. So a man's life is dependent and it's beautifies with the presence of female. And so female focus is really, really important. So with this, some discussions and points, we will move forward to a very interesting series of speakers. These speakers are really dynamic, and it's my honor and it's my pleasure to have them today. And I'm going to introduce you one by one with them. So let's see who is the next. So our next speaker is the Dr. Remi. Dr. Remi, are you with me? Dr. Remi, can you hear me? I think there is a technical issue on her side, so stay tuned till she joins so we can have a very nice, lovely discussion onwards with her.
We at Berkeley Middle East Consultants are a diverse team of experts and industry professionals. In a world of complexity and opportunities, organizations are trying to make new connections and find new ways of innovating. We collaborate with our clients to understand them and help solving their complex industry issues, to optimize their solutions so they can stand out and realize long-lasting results. We offer our clients financial services, HR and business solutions, accounting services, tax and audit, among others. To know more about what Berkeley Middle East can offer you, please log to www.berkeleyme.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Kholoud. Thank you very much for your lovely message for the audiences. Of course, you as a female entrepreneur has really done a great job, and you are helping the women for building up their own businesses and finding better funding to their projects. So as we will feel that once we join Dr. Reem, maybe there is technical. I can see Dr. Reem. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I hear you loud and clear, Dr. Musa, and thank you so much for
Thank
your
you very
brilliant
much for giving your time, and I was really excited to speak with you, and public is really excited. I have a lot of questions and responses to ask from you. Of course, time is very limited. So I would request you to please give a formal introduction to the audience so they can know you better. And of course, then you can go ahead with your thoughts to share today.
Sure. Dr. Musa, thank you so much for that brilliant opening, and all your points are so well received. And we're thankful to have men like you who are ready to support women and take us to that next level. I really was moved by all your examples, and you're so spot on. And I do hope that other men that are listening do follow this lead. Good day to everyone. Good day to everyone from all over the world. My name is Remi Duyile. I'm a Nigerian American that have been in the United States for over 37 years, a former vice president of Bank of America, someone who understood the power of rising up as a woman in a male-dominated industry in America. But Dr. Musa spoke it all. Other developed nations are doing a better job of ensuring that they give their women the platform, or maybe their women are finding ways to access the platform. So I did rise up in corporate America, a serial entrepreneur, a philanthropist. My goal is to ensure that financial inclusion is open to all women everywhere they are. And I'm thankful for the Berkeley platform and what they do to ensure that voices like us are being heard all over the world, and we can share our best practices and our thoughts to ensure that not only the women, even the emerging young leaders, take their rightful positions, so we can all create that world of peace that he had alluded to. And men are part of the game, and the men are our first love. Like you said, that your mother is your first love. Our fathers are our first love in the home. So that should continue in even the corporate setting. So I'm excited to talk to you about what I've been asked to talk about today. So Dr. Musa, I don't know if I can continue with my presentation, or I needed to just wait to get your lead.
Please go ahead.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so this morning, this day, wherever you are, the topic that I will be talking about is strategic positioning of women for investors and meaningful partnerships. As women, we know that whatever a woman can do, a man can do. Whatever a man can do, a woman can do. Is said as a cliche, but there's a process that needs to get you there. There are things that needs to be done. And Dr. Musa said it all. Policies have to be designed intentionally to affect women positively. If it's not done, a lot of people will not take the time to do it. We also need to be able to address women leadership. What are the challenges? What are the needed competencies that we need to have as women? Of course, when we have the competencies, how do we leverage it? How do we make it that we're confident and competent enough to be given a platform like this, like the Berkeleys, who intentionally help women to find how to be a better self? Once they have a passion, from what I've heard, they create a provision through coaching, through training. How do we make sure that our women have such? Leveraging the power of choice. Women need to have the access to choosing. And the power of choice means that whoever the decision makers are, whoever the policy makers are, they do not judge anyone by their sex. They judge them by the content and also by their competency. So giving women the opportunity to choose and to be intentional about their career. How can a woman have a career? How can a woman even have a voice if they're not given a platform to be able to birth a voice that the world is waiting for? We also need to rethink systems and challenges and assumptions. It has been historically assumed that women need to be on the back seat. Sometimes, yes, but if a woman has the guts to be on the front end and they've been well educated enough to be competent and to represent, we should have a he for she support to ensure that together we build a better world, because that's what it's all about. We also want to consider a women-only leadership, a leadership that is inclusive of women. When women are together, we are nurturing beings. We are multitasking people. Our heart, we lead from our heart. We don't just lead, we lead from our heart. We look at what is expected and how can it affect the world, the nation. So we need to be intentional and have situations and create opportunities where women leaders are all that matters. So at that point, the think tank, the brainstorming can come. For instance, when you are part of I'm a commissioner in my state in Maryland. When we are at the table discussing issues, you would immediately spot on see the thinking of the women and the men. It doesn't mean that one is better than the other. It just means that we have to be positioned to allow our thinking to be embraced. And we have to be positioned to allow our thinking to be deposited so other people can hear it. Even the men don't always want to be in antagonist. They don't want to antagonize what we're doing, but sometimes they don't understand it. But when we're given the opportunity to be at the table and our voices are heard, it affects how we position for investors. I wanted to draw this setting before I go into how do you strategically position someone for investor and partnerships. It all begins with how you are, the environment that you are raised in. It begins with the environment that you migrate in. If the corporations create enabling environment. For me, Bank of America created an enabling environment, and I rose from a teller to vice president, even though I had 4 strikes, Black, female, Nigerian accent, still was able to rise up. But if such environment was not created, somebody could get stuck with me saying, oh, you have an accent, I can't hear you. But they look beyond that. So that's what I'm challenging all of us to do. And when we do that, we can position our women strategically for investors, because all investors are looking for is good opportunities to invest and to guarantee that they can get their return back on their investment. It doesn't matter if it's a woman or a man that makes it happen. We also want to ensure that we create the right networks. I know you're saying, Remi, what is the right network? The right network is just what we're in right now. The networks that are intentional about making sure that Policy talks are done at the table. Relationships are being harnessed. When we see someone who is striving, someone who is already knowledgeable in a field, we should look beyond whether they're a woman or a man. It should just be a level playing field. And you can tell, because women, we are very sensitive beings. We have a way of sensing when we're accepted and when we're just being tolerated. And I want to say today that women are sick and tired of being tolerated, especially when you have paid your price, when you have paid your dues, and you've got the knowledge just like any man. So what women would generally do is just drift away. If we believe that we have to come and prove ourselves again when we have already done it. So strategic positioning for women is having an environment where our voices will be heard, where we are able to show forth our knowledge, our talent, and our treasure, where we're also being able to bring other women along. And I want to stop for a minute and also talk to my women out there. The ball is also in our court. For this strategic positioning for investors or meaningful partnerships, how many people are you reaching out of your comfort zone, out of your zip code, out of your everyday network to show and to share platforms with, to share opportunities with? The ball is in our court. We've got to reach out and find women like us, young and old and whatever, to let them know about opportunities. It doesn't mean they will embrace it all the time, but we need to do a better job of reaching out. Each one touch one. And when we do that, our positioning for the investors would come. Who are investors? Women are investors too. So are men. So investors has nothing to do with your sex. What it has to do is how are you packaged? In my banking world, we say, are you bankable? Are we packaging ourselves to be able to speak in front of anybody that is somebody about a course that we believe in? All we are doing in the world is trying to find solutions to create opportunities so we can all have a good life. And women are not exempted from that. So our mindset, when we position, when we design policies, I speak to our governmental powers who are there to represent us. When you're representing us, you're representing male and female. And a smart representative of anybody would ensure that we move everybody along and that we create platforms where our policies are intentional. And when those policies are being created, that women voices are there. Policies that would make it work-life balance so that when you are making presentation, people see that. With COVID, we can see that a lot of things that we're doing are virtual. And I've had colleagues who are big shots with their company. In meetings, their child will walk in. If it's a baby, that baby don't know any restrictions. They just want to come in. We need to be embracive of whatever situation that is there. And we need to create it and have that intentionality. Like Dr. Musa was speaking, I was like, wow, if we have a lot of he for she, who would not just talk? Because talk is cheap, you all. But what Berkeley is doing, they have created a platform for all of us, for women who are hearing us right now. You have no excuses. I heard them say, you bring your opportunities and there are platforms that they can help to ensure that you become and birth that idea or that business opportunity that you want to do. When you consider a woman-owned leadership, just a woman-only leadership, it doesn't mean that the whole corporation will be all women. Let's make it majority. Let's have committees that we know that are meaningful and ensure that we have our women sitting on that. So that is what is called strategic positioning, because there's no school that you go to and say, oh, I'm going to learn about strategic positioning for women. It's all in your mindset. And how do things in your mind become set? It's through your experience, it's through your exposure, it's through your expertise, and so on. So what we're saying is that there's got to be an intentionality in designing things that would help us to make sure that when we're building, we're having that sensitivity to carrying the female along. And when we do that, we build for the world. Our building for the world is going to be intentional. Every woman, every man deserves to experience the best. And as fathers out there, as men out there who have sisters, if you think of it from that perspective, you would never want to limit them. So why would you limit a co-worker who is female? So the strategic positioning is also creating platforms whereby you are also making referrals, intentional referrals to help one another, knowing that we're all building together. And when we can display successes in different facets, we will get more women on board. And I know that I'm very close to my finishing time. We want to experience driven development. Driven development are created through platforms that will give you coaching opportunities, training opportunities, even just simple social opportunity where all you're doing, you're not talking about business, you're just talking about the possibilities and just having fun. Those are ways that you can foster relationship with investors. People do business with people they like and trust. What I'm saying with strategic positioning, there has to be positioning whereby we begin to earn each other's trust. We begin to create platforms like Berkeley just did now to allow voices all over the world to be heard. And there could be a word, there could be a voice that you will hear today for my women who are listening or men that will help you move to that, pivot to that next level. When I started as a teller, I knew I was going to be a vice president. I didn't know when because I went in with an MBA. But there were people who allowed their shoulders for me to lean on. I also, as a woman, didn't see that as an impediment. So it begins with us. We've got to think beyond that we are women and this and that. It's not that. What knowledge do you carry? How are you impacting knowledge to others? How are you building more knowledge for yourself so you can sit with anybody and be able to offer your words of wisdom? Because all we are trying to do, as I close, is to make the world a better place. And the women cannot be left behind because the women are relevant to everything that we do. The women will make decisions that will even make companies be more sustainable because they think about the whole nation when they're making decisions. So I want to thank Berkeley for this opportunity. We only have a few minutes. I want to thank you for creating this opportunity and this platform. And I do hope that it's continuous and that it's intentional so we can have testimonials, not just with the women, with the emerging leaders. Thank you so very much, Dr. Musa. Thank you to Berkeley for this great.
Dr. Remi, your thoughts are really beautiful, and I know that you gave us only 15 minutes, but I want to take 10 minutes extra from your side. I want to feel and look like a dream of a Nigerian-born a girl who born in Nigeria, and she managed to reach to United States, and she studied well, and she contributed to the society in States. What I feel is this is technically called as a brain drain. So if a good mind of Nigeria moves to, say, Australia, UK, or United States, so you can see that there will be a gap in these countries, and I'm sure that every like-minded person, every progressive person like you would always strive to settle in a place where there is a social security structure, where there is a respect for a woman, and where there is education opportunities available, and that you find in United States, so you settle over there. So, but I can see that this opportunity is not available to rest of 200 million people. You are one of very selective and blessed people who got this opportunity. So how a Nigerian woman think about when and how she feels that when she don't get a social security structure, where she don't get access to a good health care free of cost education. So I want you to share on behalf of these Nigerian female how they think.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Musa. I want to also give credit back to Nigeria, because the foundational stages of my life, 17 years of my life, were in Nigeria. And what I ended up becoming and carrying on in America was as a result of the lovely family that I grew in. My father, especially, determined, knowing that I have to get educated and I have to be relevant to the system, because that's the tradition of my family. So kudos to how we are raised back home and what brings us the energy to come here. So to my fellow Nigerians, and you know that even people who are in Nigeria, there's a lot of women in Africa that are doing big stuff. It's not, you don't necessarily have to travel out of the country to make things happen. But for those who maybe are there, it's really what you make out of your experience. All the things I described were not that easy. Dr. Musa, we can talk offline and I can share all of the heartaches that I went through for 17 years. But that is also going to be part of the process. One thing for sure is that as diaspora, the brain drain can be a brain drain. And that's what our company is doing, to ensure that we're a bridge to helping that divide. And we're making the connections with the likes of you, likes of people in Africa during our conference. That was the intention. Even though we can't all uproot ourselves and go back to our respective countries, there's no limit to what you can do. I know a Dr. Musa now, if there are things that I know you can solve, I'm going to come to your company. So right there, those who are not even here, they can leverage your expertise. That's what we need to build. I can sit here and say, oh, we all need to go back home now. You know, it's not going to be feasible and it's not going to be productive. What will be productive is creating platforms like you're creating now with intentionality to be able to be a bridge and continue to solve problems. Those who need to travel out, travel out. Those who are in country continues to build and breath their greatness, because the greatness is not in the country you come to. It's just the environment that needs to be designed. I know some fine young women and men who are doing stuff that when I see it, I'm like, wow. And they go through the heartaches to do it. How can we provide support system for them to be able to use their brain power conveniently and conducively to add value to the world? So you're right. My being here is not accidental, but it's a call to action to see how can we be that true bridge that can add value wherever we are, not just in Africa, everywhere we have friends in.
That's great. And I have another question. Like, for example, have you ever thought that always it's a man candidate and the man dominant cabinets in developing countries? Have you ever thought that maybe you form sort of awareness in women, that they come out, they come as leaders, and they make a women party where most of the participants are female, and of course it's a male-female alignment. It's not only all females, but because other parties, the male-female gender is still male is more, female or less. I saw in some developing countries, they have, say, for example, 30 cabinet, so 27 are male and 3 are female, and which female are just like, you know, when you make a cake and you put a cherry on it. So she's not the part of the main cake, you know, it's just for satisfying some human rights or some international regulators that, oh yes, we have a woman in the parliament, but there's no really worth they are doing to these countries. So Do you think that women uh, never thought to lead, or may she give up to come actually in policy making? Because policy making is the first step to come towards a change. So, if any time of your life, would you think about these things that women need to come out, that there should be a more female representations in parliament, and you will play a role to activate any women in your country?
Absolutely, giving up is never in my vocabulary. Let me start with that straight up. And also to say that financial inclusion is very important. Until we can crack the code to financial inclusion, to create an enabling environment where women can thrive, to make their own money, to create their own enterprises, and all of these things, it will be hard for us women to be a big player. And I see that is changing. We have a few women who are, who are doing their best to ensure they have such financial inclusion system and policy. If you're not at the table when policies are made, you're going to be at the end and you have to execute it. So what we need to do intentionally is building our women and supporting them to know that, yes, you are a woman. Yes, you can be this, but it cannot just be by lip service. It's got to be an intentional systems whereby there's a financial inclusion model where a woman can, if I tell you I can help you find money, and I show you, because I have a network, I can do it. By the time you see me next time, you're not going to just look at me as any particular, you're just going to see me as Remi, the solution provider, right? So until we create such environment where we have financial inclusion model where women who are doing business are supported well enough, they're able to breath their creativity, and they're able to leverage their creativity for the betterment of nations, it's going to be hard to play big. Having said that, the government also, they are losing by not including their women, by not forget about what the United Nations says. Let the nations themselves speak. They have women who are their mothers, sisters, daughters that they've sent to Oxford, Harvard, Yale, and everything. They are pretty stuck in the developed nation. They would wish to be back home where they got invested in, but because there's nowhere to come. I would have thought that the men will wake up and smell the coffee right now if they are men that are in decision making, and they will be more than anxious to bring the women because they've invested in their daughters and they've invested in their sisters. But their sisters and daughters, they are stuck in developed nations because they're second class citizens in those nations. Wouldn't it be a lot better if they migrate back and they continue the legacy? So I just want to say that the men need to wake up and do the right thing, not because a nation or some policy say, do the right thing. Create an environment where these women and girls can come back home and bring their brain power. Look at what they do. The Chinese system is a good example. Once their children are done, once they graduate, they come to the best of schools here in America or wherever they go. Once they're done, they are going back home on the next plane. And they get all of this. They create an environment for them to be leveraged. So that's what we need to do for us, especially for the women, because most of us want to give back. But how can you give back when you don't even understand the system? So it starts with that financial inclusion, whereby we have the resources, we have the right networks like you and many others who can help us and give us that backbone to say that even though we're a woman, we have this network of relevance. When people begin to see that, trust me, nobody will look at what you are. When I started with the Bank of America, I was looked at all of those 4 things. By the time I finished, I was on the golf course with the best of anybody, because then I was just looked at as Remi. Remi they don't remember a black female accent, Nigeria. If I have my accent, they will listen well enough to hear me because they saw my value over the long haul. So what we need to do is create a setting where these women, we can help them see their value, create a financial inclusion model that everybody can play, whether you're in the village or wherever. So those in the village can embrace those who are in the cities and not feel like they're their enemies. They can see we're in this together, and the diaspora has a lot to do with it. And I'll stop there, Dr. Musa.
That's great. My last question from you is, if you become the head of state, your country, so what you will do for your women?
What I would do if I become the head of state of my nation, first of all, is to ensure that we have policies that support and incentivizes financial inclusion.
Mm-hmm.
That is very important, because being a former banker and finance person, when you do not have resources, especially technical and financial, you will be limited. So that will be something that I will mandate, that financial inclusion has to be heavily weighted on the women. And then we will incentivize those companies, whether being banks and so forth, who go the extra mile to ensure that they lead the women to the river and they drown them to drink if they can. Meaning show them, don't just give them all this blueprint and get them confused and they don't know what the next step is. I would give people meritocracy based on results. That's number one. Then for the women, of course, the majority of the cabinet, at least 70%, will be women. Let them get a feel for what it is to be a minority in a majority, because that's what we've seen forever. So 70% will be all women, reputable and competent women, not just women because they're women. They will be the best top-notch women who will be at the table, who can face anybody, and 30% will be men. And then, of course, the girl child, it's very important. We've got to catch them young. We've got to catch them young. We will create a work-life balance that is second to none, whereby as a mother, you do not have to trade your career for your family. You create a balance with results. I mean, you're not just going to have a free ride because you are a wife, mother, and all of that. There will be requirements, but we will understand, we'll give people the work-life balance so that people can put their best in what they do and do it well. And lastly, what I would do is for all the emerging leaders, whether they are male or female, our boys and girls who are up and coming, we would design programs to help them to find who they want to be. We would design environment. There's school, the education will be an environment whereby whether you're rich, poor, and whatever, we bring all those young people and give them the best of education, an environment where everyone can feel relevant in their own way, and ensure that healthcare is second to none. Make sure there's good healthcare systems where it's preventive medicine, not just when somebody is sick, preventive, and at some point make it affordable. I can say free 100%, make it affordable so that we get our philanthropists to support. And definitely accountability and transparency. If anybody messes up, one strike, you are in trouble. We're not going to give chances for people to do things that are hurting the majority. So there will be zero tolerance for people who break the laws. I mean, the laws will be there in black and white. And if people break the laws, they will have to answer to the law. There would not be any going around who you know and who you don't know. That will be how I would run my own show if I were given the opportunity to lead any nation.
That's great. I think it's the same like in New Zealand, we saw a female rulers. You can see how calm, peaceful, and progressive the country is. Mm-hmm. Same way, if more female will lead the countries, I'm sure it will have more harmony, rule of law, and more better creative countries we will get into. So with this, I want to thank you for your valuable inputs, and I'm sure that audience has got a lot from your inspirational story, success story, and your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and we look forward to more conversations with results. Thank you for all you do.
And with this, we will move towards our next speaker. Our next speaker is again a very dynamic woman. She is a woman who is going to talk about communication and how to communicate across the border globally, what things can add value when you are trying to be on global mindsets. She is a chief executive officer of Inspiring Decisions. And I welcome Wendy. Wendy, how are you doing today?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. It's early still here in the US. It's about 10 a.m. But I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much for your early rise for us. I know
No
it's
problem.
a weekend and generally we sleep late in the weekends, but
No, I'm honored.
Thank you very much. So I want you to introduce yourself in detail to the audience. So because the self-introduction is the most comes from the heart. And then, of course, you can start up with your message for the day, and I will certainly ask some questions in the end.
Okay, thank you so much. So again, my name is Wendy L. Alexander. I am the owner of Inspiring Decisions, LLC here in the US, as well as a networking group for women entrepreneurs called Global Success Society. I have been doing international business for over 15 years now. I started my business actually in Dubai. Just recently came home a year ago as of November from living in Dubai to position my business, but not more so to really connect with people who are there in the region to help them to build and expand globally. A lot of my work that was done there was with women who were from Africa. So I was able to connect to help bridge some of the gaps. Now that I'm actually home, I'm so excited that I am able to help women to get their products and their services here in the United States. I am a board member of the UAE Africa Networking Group, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about in my presentation to show that how important it is for us to connect and collaborate across borders, that we have to provide the resources. We have the knowledge and we have the skills, and we need to be able to share them, to share the resources that we have, to collaborate. And now with technology, there's no excuse. There's no reason why we cannot connect and support each other at this very moment. A lot of people say, we're in a pandemic. Well, guess what? There is a pandemic, but there is technology. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit more about women collaborating, connecting across borders. Thank you so much again for having me. So I'm just going to share my screen with you all. We love technology, right? So we're just gonna, hopefully you all can see this. It's not allowing me to see what you can see. So women collaborating and connecting across borders. One of the things I wanna do first is within the iWin group, which was part of the the UAE Africa Networking Group, which I'll talk more about. There was a young lady that I had a pleasure and still have a pleasure of mentoring and coaching. And she has such wisdom and power, and I wanted to honor her today. And her name is Emmy Beth Quanston. She's actually the owner of Kawi Mocha Coffee, which is located in Ghana, which is amazing coffee because I have sampled it myself. But she is just a fighter. She is just willing to go over and beyond to do whatever it is for her business. She's humble, she's open to suggestions, and she looks for opportunities. And so today I just wanted to honor her because not only have I, been mentoring her and coaching her, but she is also giving me power as well to say, you know what, continue to push and do what you're doing to support these women who are in Africa and provide resources that they probably wouldn't get. And what I do is I bring other women along with me, which is very important to help provide the resources. And so she's doing amazing. We're working on a deal right now here in the US for her coffee. And so fingers crossed that works out for her. And we've only been working together less than 2 months. And so a lot has been done. And that's just the power of collaborating and bringing resources together. So today, Emmy Beth, I honor you. And I want to also start out with one of my favorite African proverbs is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this is so important. And I live by this. A lot of times we try to be the Lone Rangers, as I call it, and we can't. We have to go together. We have to collaborate. We have to work together. We have to provide resources to each other. And so my mission is to connect, to support, and to provide access to women entrepreneurs in Africa. Access to funding, access to technology, access to resources, access to expand their businesses across borders, and access to share their stories. We all have a story, and our story is our power. It's our superpower. And once you share your story and connect it to your business, it gives you the opportunity to also expand. But one of the things I definitely think that we need is that we need women entrepreneurs need access to global collaborations. And what I mean by that is that there's a network full of women who are probably watching me right now who have some type of resource, some type of knowledge, skill that they can provide access to a woman entrepreneur who is actually in Africa. And a lot of times goes on both sides. We wait for people to come to us, or we wait until something is posted, then we go after it. But instead, we should start creating our opportunities and reaching out and collaborating. So if you see someone, if you're following them on LinkedIn, or if you're following them on any social media platform, and you see that they have this business and it seems like they're really, really trying to put it out there, if there's a way for you to help and support them, let's start reaching out and offering a hand to do that. And maybe it's that you're not the one who can actually help them move forward or scale their business, but maybe you know someone else who does. And so we need more collaborations across the borders. Also, we need business owners, again, and coaches and mentors to provide services in Africa. I urge you today, if you are a business owner or a coach, this is something that I want you to put on your 2021 agenda, strategic plan, whatever it is that you're planning to do, mind map, is that you say that I'm going to commit, that I'm going to coach or mentor someone that's actually in Africa. I have these resources that I can provide, and my thing is that a lot of people say, well, oh, what about the money? Listen, it's not about the money. The money always comes if you do the right thing. But the thing is that you want to provide access. You want to be a service to someone. How can you service someone and support them? So I talked a little bit about Amy Beth and how I met her, and this is actually iWin. And so iWin was developed through the UAE Africa Networking Group, which I'm a board member of, and William Steinhaus, which is actually the visionary behind he came up with iWin, and the purpose of it was to help women to gain collaborations, to collaborate partnerships, maybe investors, to expand their reach, to connect with other women across the world. So there were 42 women from Africa and the UAE that actually were awarded the opportunity to present. Basically, what they had to do was they had to send in their information, their executive summary. The board then chose these women to be a part of this. And it was very successful. And we will continue to do it again in 2021. And so these are just a few of the women. But the outcome was mentorship, coaching, global collaborations. There was access to expand across borders. Also, there was product placement outside of Africa. So this is huge just by creating iWin. Again, we created this opportunity. So a lot of times you have to create things in order to allow and to provide access to people, in order for them to connect. The women that I connected with, there's no way I would have been able to connect with them and to be able to support them had we not created this platform and offered them the opportunity to share their amazing stories. And also their products and services just blew me away at where they are. And most of them, honestly, they just need a little bit. They just need a little bit of support and help. And so if we're able to do that, why not? And so I encourage you also to find ways that you can connect and support. What is it that you can create? What opportunity, platforms, speaking engagement? What is it that you can do to build connections and collaborations? And then so my challenge for everyone who is out there listening today is that for all women who are listening, to assist and provide more access and collaboration with African women entrepreneurs across the globe. But not only that, I want you to really think of how is it? I'm sure I always say that people have what is called our CV, right? And we also have what is called our Rolodex. And usually with our Rolodex, there's full of people who we are connected with. There are people that have the access that these women need. Make a list. Who is it that you can connect to? Who is it that you can reach out to? A lot of us are on LinkedIn and we're connected to a lot of people. How are you using those connections in order to help the women who are in Africa? How are you using those? And if you're not, I challenge you today to move forward in 2021 to be able to offer that access and your connections to people. It's not about keeping things secret. It's not about holding things to ourselves and saying, I'm just going to hold this connection. I'm not going to share it. That's not the meaning of the connection. And so I urge you and I encourage you today to please continue, or if you have, and if you haven't, to start connecting, communicating, and collaborating across borders to help support our sisters. Thank you so much.
For your lovely message to the audience. I'm really surprised at how it is possible that you were in Dubai and we never met this way, because
I know.
I met all the ambassadors of all the African countries. We are running investment shows on Sub-Sahara since long. But it's a great honor to know that you are also bridging Africans in order to facilitate the investment procedures and processes. So I think what we should do is we should have another event with your members, so
Please,
we can
yes.
highlight them on our platform. I don't mind to promote the right
Thank
woman
you.
to the right investor. This is really important. And so
Yes.
what brings in your life this concept, like where you start feeling that, yes, this is gives you a real sense and satisfaction, you should do it?
Honestly, I love helping people. I really do. And once I had just started, helping and supporting and coaching and founding that I was being able to really help someone move and scale their businesses, I was like, I can do this. And it felt good to be able to help someone. And then not only that, people really genuinely want help. They really want the help and support. And so if I'm able to do that, that's what I do. And so when you said, oh, it's Saturday morning, as you got up early for us, I've actually been up since 3 a.m. I'm always up, I'm always up to help them. I meet my clients where they are. So when I do consultations and when I'm doing coaching and mentoring, I'm up doing it to meet them where they are. I'm not on my time zone. I'm on their time zone.
Oh, that's amazing. I think only a passionate entrepreneur can do this, to wake up in the middle of the night, because we don't expect these things from our employees. Once the 5 o'clock is done, they are done, and they will come on Monday then. So
yes, exactly.
People want to hear like how you transform yourself, and your own success story, like being an African and raised in now you are in United States. So I want you to give your motivation to the audience that they are really seeking for.
I actually, I'm glad you asked that asked that question. I actually started, really, this is how it happened. I heard something about Dubai from actually my husband, who was actually working overseas and traveling in different parts of the Middle East. And he said, listen, I need you to come over here and visit. This is where we're going to meet, because he was in Afghanistan and Iraq. And I said, I'm not coming to Dubai. I don't know anything about that place. This was 16 years ago. I was like, I don't know. I want to go there. Well, long story short, I ended up going there to meet him, fell in love with the culture. I was like, this is it. This is now home. I am going to have a business here. My husband looked at me and he said, a business? I said, yes, I'm going to have a business in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. He said, okay. So I said, I am. And so I did. I sought after, I started training some of the government as well as some of the royal family was one of my first contracts. And so I was very honored. From there, I continued to learn the culture, to become a cross-culture consultant. I then make sure that I totally immersed myself in the culture. I am a Christian, but I definitely practice Ramadan. I fast, I pray 5 times a day. I also show that as well, as just because I'm a Christian doesn't mean that I cannot learn from another religion or culture. That's one thing I do stress. And so I just really, really fell in love with the area. Also continued to travel to Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar. So the Middle East became really my home. Then I learned soon enough, I'm sure a lot of you all have heard about the ancestry.com, where you can find out what you really are, right? So people would tell me, I'm actually American. And so people in the Middle East would tell me, they would say, Wendy, you have some Arab in you. I was like, no. Then they said, well, you have Nigerian. You're definitely Nigerian. I said, no, my family is actually from India. I have Indian in me, right? So I took a couple of tests, but guess what happened? Found out that, yes, I have a high percentage of Arab in me, and I also have 89% Nigerian. Okay. So all of it came together for me at that moment. And this was just like a year ago. And so my brothers and sisters was telling me, well, we already knew that. Why did you spend your money? We've been telling you that you're part of the family. So it made me grow even closer, to saying, I really need to help and support, and I can't do it alone. And so I started the Global Success Society, which are women who actually are consultants and coaches. And now we actually take on different areas of the world, basically. And each one is responsible for providing support, consultation, speaking engagements, arrangements, whatever it takes. And then we travel. We actually travel together. I do events in Dubai to bring women together. We've been in India and London. And so I'm really big on networking and collaborating and bringing people together. That's my passion, because I always say that we don't have to do this alone. We don't have to struggle alone. The support is right there, but we have to reach out. And the other thing is, it doesn't matter what the culture is. It doesn't matter what the religion is and the background is. All you have to do is respect it and learn it. I always say that respect and learn the culture. And that's the first thing that you do. And then you collaborate. We'll find that we're a lot alike, more than we are different, to be honest. And so just having the mindset of just wanting to help. And so from there, I got my contract, and I moved forward, continue to build my business. My children are 24 and 22. And so when my son graduated from high school, I said, I'm going to have a longer contract in Dubai. This is what I call manifesting. The day he graduated, I got a longer contract in Dubai. I moved to Dubai. He went off to college. I lived there for 4.5, almost 5 years to continue to build my business. And it's been amazing. But to more so, I really wanted to, again, continue to learn the culture. Nothing is like going back and forth. Nothing is like living there and really, really connecting. And so I have plenty of across the Middle East, as I say, I really do. And I really believe in that. And so I'm forever grateful, because they've given me so much opportunity. And so that's another reason why I do what I do, is because people have gave me opportunity. Someone gave me the chance. So why wouldn't I give it back to someone else? And so that's why I'm so passionate and so excited about these new products and that are going to be here launching in the US with the women in Africa. I'm just so happy for them.
Oh, that's so amazing. Actually, I just want to add some more compliments to you. I was actually going to ask that when you are going to get married, and you're saying that you are 24 years old kid. That's really, I think we should make you our health guru and take some food tips from you. Secondly, like you rightly said that the government of UAE has made a society which is based on tolerance and tolerance, irrespective what culture and what country you belongs to. You feel like home. You feel safe. You meet people. They respect you. The local community.
It's family.
It's really amazing. And
Isn't
I'm
it?
really excited. Maybe in next your trip, of course, we will have. So I'm gonna add you
Yes.
in the list of my Ramzan guest. You know, I always have
Thank you.
Ethar in Ramadan, and I will add you in that.
Yes,
And of course,
please.
whenever you are in Dubai, just let me know. We will have a coffee.
Thank you,
So
inshallah.
with this, thank you very much for your time and inputs.
Thank you
And
so much. I appreciate you all so much. Again, thank you. I'm so honored. Thank you for having me. Shukran.
that's it. So with this, we will move towards our next speaker. Our next speaker is originally from Australia, and he has been in the field of education. He is a very dynamic mind. He is an educationist. He's an entrepreneur. He is a leader. He is a life coach. You can say he's an international speaker. He is in firm management. He is a certified CEO, and I mean he has a long introduction, but his contribution to the field of education is really exemplary. And let's see what he has for us today.
Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Tamer Metwalli, and I am the Dean of Berkeleyme School of Management and Science. Today I would like to explain some exciting courses for you. First of all, there's a certified CFO that we actually offer, and if you're in the financial sector, this is a great course, especially if you want to excel, or if you're into the management, or even if you're in a CFO yourself at the moment. We provide practical case studies, and these are great for you to enhance your skills. In addition to that, it's great recognition to become also a certified CFO, which you become a specialty. So that's one thing that it's really important for that course. In addition to that, we also provide a certified CEO course. So again, if you're in a management, or if you're a general manager, or if you're in a CEO currently, again, we actually provide case studies relating to this particular management, and for you to enhance your skills, especially with problem solving strategies, etc. In addition to that, we also provide a number of other exciting courses, such as your logistics or your chain supply management, your human resources, project management, marketing. We also have law, and we have a lot of other accounting courses as well. In addition to that, we also are very excited that we give you the opportunity, to not just becoming a certified CFO or CEO or certified human resource manager, but we also offer you the chance to conduct your masters with us, so we can offer that to you. It's only a 12 months online to complete your masters, and once you've done that, we can also offer you to complete your doctorates as well. So we offer DPA, we also offer PhD, and we also offer international doctorates and many other types of doctorates we also offer. So if you are really interested in any of these great courses, that will give you great recognition for you, and beside the recognition, it will give you that investment to enhance your skills, something that you can take back to work and to implement and to be better professional at your workplace. So if you are actually quite interested in any of these courses, please visit our website, which is berkeleyme.org, and there's all the courses structured, laid out very well. You can have all your details. If you can just type your details on the inquiry page, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Tamer. It was a lovely introduction, and I can see that education is really important, and Berkeley School of Business is really playing its own American education promotion in the Gulf region, and it's really encouraging when I come across the candidates. They studied from Berkeley. They are really high profile and highly integrated with the society. So with this, we will move towards our next speaker. Is really a dynamic woman. She is the director of Destiny Arise, and she is a global goodwill ambassador. She is really high profile, and I would like to invite her to introduce herself. And yes, Dr. Hazel, how are you doing today?
Absolutely fantastic. I've been enjoying the previous speakers. Man, it's just so amazing what women are doing, empowering each other so that we can become the leaders that we were born to be.
That's great. I want to thank you for your time, and our audience is really excited to hear you. And please share your thoughts of the day.
Awesome. Okay, so today I'm going to be sharing on innovation and leadership. But before I share on that, I'm going to just tell you more about myself. My name is Dr. Hazel Herrington, and I'd like to thank Berkeleyme and Dr. Musa Shaikh for inviting me today to speak on this platform. It is a pleasure and honor, and I don't take it lightly. I believe that empowering women to become the leaders that they were born to be is the greatest job that God has given me. So if you're watching this, we're going to have a fantastic time as I talk about innovation and leadership. So a bit more about myself. My name is Dr. Hazel Herrington, and I am the founder of Destiny Arise. What does Destiny Arise do? I've empowered more than 50,000 women and youth through business workshops, youth conferences, going into prisons. I've spoken in front of 5,000 men, inspiring them to become better fathers, better husbands. And I've also run soup kitchens, feeding programs for thousands of Zimbabweans homeless in the city of Bulawayo in Matabeleland. And that is why I want to speak about leadership, because a lot of people have asked me this question: are leaders born or are they made? I'd like you to know that they are both. We are all born leaders, but the reality is that we're born as leaders. As a child, when you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? They'll tell you what they want to be, because they have that passion, that desire in them. And then as they grow older, they lose that passion and desire because the people around them start limiting their potential as leaders. And then they become constipated leaders. They get confused. So today I'm going to unlock your potential. You might be watching this, you're a constipated leader, you've lacked direction. And not only that, COVID-19 has changed the way that we do business. And in your business, especially as women, we need to be innovative. I'm so tired of every time they'll give an example of disruptive, innovative leaders. They're always talking about Elon Musk. They're always talking about the founder of Facebook, the founder of Amazon. Where are the women? And that's why I'm sharing on innovative leadership. So here it is. So what is innovative leadership? Well, the greatest discovery I've ever made, and in my journey as an entrepreneur, is that success in business is critical when you innovate. What do I mean by that? The key to being successful in business is being innovative. What is innovation? Well, innovation is creating solutions to current problems. It's creating solutions to old problems. In other words, you're taking your product and service, you're finding out what are the problems in your business. How can I be creative? How can I make my product different in the marketplace? And I've seen a lot of people, COVID has affected a lot of businesses and they're not doing anything. They'd rather not invest in their business. They'd rather not be innovative because they're afraid. But ladies and gentlemen, innovative leaders are risk takers. You cannot call yourself a leader if you're not going to take risks. That's the reality of business. I'm reminded of a story of Ashley Olsen. He's a director here in Australia, and he's got an amazing story. He had a farm, and one day he was driving back to his farm, and he saw an old man struggling, fixing his fence. And he stopped and he helped the man, and the man was trying to put his fence together, and it was just difficult. And then he had a revelation and an idea, because innovative leaders take an idea and they make something out of it. And that's what he did. He said, man, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be an easier way of farming, of even fencing. He went back home, and then he told his family about his idea, and they created a clip. So you've got a fence and there's just a clip. So you stretch the fence and you clip it on. The greatest invention in fencing to date. Innovation, creating a solution to an old problem. What are you going through in your business? What do you need to change? Are you listening to your customers? I'm reminded of the top 10 innovative organizations and 5 things that they do. Number 1, they go out into the marketplace and they ask questions, ask their customers questions. Are you happy with our product? Is it easy to use? Is it difficult? Second thing that they do, they collect that data. After collecting that data, they start networking with new people, building relationships. I'm always telling my clients and to different organizations, are you networking? Are you developing new relationships? And as a leader, if you in your crowd, I'm talking about leadership and networks and friendships, in your network, if you are the one that's always talking and making the decisions and you got nobody to look up to, you need to leave that circle. You need people that aspire you to become bigger and greater. Networks, people that can connect you to other people. What else do these massive, disruptive, innovative companies do? After networking, they make sure that they employ people that are good at solving complex problems. We need to be hiring people in our business that are good at solving problems, because one of my favorite quotes, the future belongs to those who choose to innovate and solve complex problems. Those employees that solve complex problems, we also need to encourage them to create an innovative environment in the workplace. Create an innovative environment in the workplace, and then reward those that are innovative. Reward them, promote them. Because the reality is that your most precious commodity in your organization right now are your ideas. Because of COVID-19, ideas are coming up so quickly and so fast and so cheap, because the big disruptive organizations, that's what they're doing. They take their idea, like I said, they question, they collect the data, then they go fast, cheap, and quick into the marketplace. And what are you doing? You sitting back and saying, I'm waiting. Post-COVID, things will change. COVID is not going anywhere, as far as I know. You must innovate if you are to survive. Why do we innovate? Why do we encourage innovation? Because your future is dependent on innovation. I encourage innovation, and especially for women. It is not only a male thing. Visionary leaders is next on my list on the characteristics of innovative leaders. Where do you see yourself and your organization? Are you a visionary leader? What is a visionary leader, Hazel? You're saying, I don't understand what's a visionary leader. You know, the greatest gift God gave us is the gift of sight and the ability to see. But you know, visionary leaders, they see beyond just what's around them. They see the future. Where do you see your business in 5, 10, 15 years? I constantly remind people of the story of Walt Disney, of how he'd sit on a bench and just look at nothing. And his employees would say, you've been sitting here for hours. What are you doing? And he was visualizing the theme park. He was visualizing from just being a cartoonist, Mickey Mouse, Daffy Duck. What do you see? What do you see? When you see a foot, do you see a shoe? Visionary leaders are critical in the season. Employ visionary leaders. That is critical in the season. I was talking about risk takers. Visionary leaders are risk takers. You know, in the season that we're in, you got to be willing to take risks. You got to come out of your comfort zone. I know that a lot of people, they're afraid of taking risks because they're afraid of failure. They're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid that they'll lose their reputation and people would laugh at them. But, you know, the reality is that I read this quote somewhere, is that you can't make an omelet without breaking the shell. You know, you want to make an omelet, you got to break the shell. And that's what leadership is all about. It's about taking risks. Because leaders have a I can do attitude, I can do it. And thinking out of the box. And, you know, I've seen a lot of leaders is that they want to be popular and they want to go with the crowd. But I'll tell you this, leaders don't go with the crowd all the time, actually. Sometimes you've got to go alone and they'll catch up later. I'll tell you a personal story, is that when I told people when I was in Africa that, oh, I'm going to go into schools, I'm going to go into prisons, some people laughed at me. Even when I said I'm going to open my own restaurant, it's because I had not gone to university at that time. And they just thought I couldn't do it. And that, I mean, you may be watching this and you've got a great vision. You're a visionary leader. And the people surrounding you are telling you, you can't do it. I had to do it alone. I wrote down my vision and I ran with it. I want to encourage you, write that vision down. Go for it. And so what if you fail? I always say failure breeds experience. When you fail, you now experience on how not to do it the next time. And then you can actually start teaching and coaching people. Another solution to a problem. And last but not least, I know we don't have a lot of time today, is that we talked about the most innovative companies. What else did they do? Is that these companies are raising up their successors. You know, a confident, true leader is raising up a successor. Leadership is transgenerational. It's not about you. It's not only about the current generation. The saddest thing, because this is a conference on pearls of Africa, African women, you have to leave a legacy for the next generation. And the saddest thing is that there's a lot of African entrepreneurs, when they die, the vision dies with them. And I know you've heard the quote that says, if the vision dies, if you as a leader, if your vision dies, that's it. Everything around you dies. I would like to encourage you, start building a legacy, because leadership is transgenerational. Build for the next generation. Coach, equip. It's not only your children, but the future generations. I would like to thank the previous speakers that are empowering women in Africa. She's building a legacy. Wendy, she's building a legacy. Transgenerational. God bless her. And I'd encourage you to empower her. You know, I'm doing the same thing in Africa, Destiny Arise. We do business workshops. We equip and empower women to become the leaders that they were born to be, collaborating with microfinance companies. We're not thinking of ourselves. We are purpose-driven entrepreneurs and leaders. And that's the thing, is that true leaders, it's not about you. It's about serving others. Are you in business for yourself, just to make profit and to use people? Is greed the moral of the story? Well, shame on you. Because I'd like to believe that when we all start business, it's for us to make a difference and make a mark that can't be erased. Thank you.
Thoughts are superb, and honestly, like I had some nine 9 dreams which I am working on. And after your conversation, your talk, I feel really excited to complete them as soon as possible. And you are absolutely right that a human is with the vision. If you don't have vision, uh, you have to doubt yourself. So, vision, objectives, and dreams, these are actually, if you combine in a human, they can deliver wonders. And I'm sure that audience is really excited to hear you in a way that African women thinks so high standard and of ethics and compliance, and has a great vision about the future. This is true that every business is for the humanity. It's not for your greed. You need to deliver value to your customer, then things will be better and better for yourself. I am really amazed, and I really want to thank you for giving your time. And I'm really looking forward to share some values after this event.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, and I'm so proud of the work that you're doing. And, you touched me so much when you said, a woman is the most precious asset, and that's the thing is that we've got to honor women because they're in the marketplace, they're raising up children, and you asked an important question, and I know you're going to ask me the same question, is to say, where do we see the future of women if we become, the prime minister or the president of a country? Is that we need to empower women to become economically independent and self-sufficient so that they can provide the basic needs for their family. How do we do that? By giving them access to land, changing policies whereby women can buy land. We in 62 countries, women are prohibited even from inheriting land because the male child must be given the land. When we give women land and access to productive resources, they can farm on that land, they can take care of themselves. So it should actually be a human right for women in Africa, especially where there's a lot of land, that a portion of the land must be given to the women.
That's really, really important.
Yes. And if you look at, we're talking about education, we're talking about health, is that right now, because of COVID, a lot of women are going through gender-based violence. There's high cases of HIV. If women are economically independent, they have bargaining power in their relationship. They're confident, And Dr. Musa, can I ask you this question? Why is it that when a woman in a relationship, the woman has to leave if the relationship is not working, and she's got 8 kids? Why is it happening in Africa? Where are the laws that are protecting these women? We need laws that protect women's rights. Enough is enough. We're talking so much. We advertise it, gender-based violence, but where are the laws? We need to implement laws, and these must be international laws. But mind you, you know what I mean? Kudos to the United Nations. They implement laws, but our leaders in Africa, they go and they attend the meetings and they clap hands and like yes, but on the ground it's not happening. It's not happening, and it's a shame.
You're right. Actually, when I used to read my religious books, I read one very interesting situation when a man came to our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he asked that I took my mother on my shoulder, she's old, and I did one pilgrim with her. So is that I served her well for the whole life? So he answered very beautifully. He said that you even didn't serve her for as a return for one night when you were really small and you urinate on the bed and she has to sleep next to it. She can't sleep on the bed. So I don't know, what happened to a man's heart and brain, if you are close to any religious scripture, either you are Christian, you are Jew, you are Muslim, all the books tells you that a mother, a woman, a wife, we need to treat them very fairly with open hearts. And even, like if you are out of a relation, our religion says that you cannot kick out the woman from your home. You have to give money to the kid for the upbringing of the kids throughout the life. So it's actually related to the moral ethics of a man, that how he develop himself. Is he a humanistic or not? I mean, this is really a concern, and for these unhumanistic sort of men, they only need a legal treatment, because because if there is no sound of self-respect coming from their own self, then means that someone from outside, as a law, as authority, or as a parliament, rules and regulations, they need to make ensure that a woman is safe, she's protected. Like in United States and in United Kingdom, for example, a woman is not worried that a husband will divorce and she will die and she will be on the road. Who will handle the kid? Because the state will come immediately and try to overcome, will give some funds, try to upgrade. So this kind of system that we need in developing country. And I'm sure that the like-minded women together, as a volunteer, we can do our best, which our forefathers, or you can say our bigger generation, failed to do. We can do that. That's the belief and confidence that I have in myself and in you and all the women that are really passionate about the women's rights.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned something, and you said, okay, religion. Here's the reality: is that when we talk about religion, not everybody that says they're Christian or they're following this separate God, because I'm a Christian, and the Bible says, do not only be hearers of the word, but be a doer. So we have people that they're hearing, but they're not taking action, And it's like, and it also says that a man that looks in the mirror and forgets what he looks like is a foolish man. You got to look in the mirror and look at yourself and don't lose your sense of identity. So that's when we're talking about religion, is that not everybody that says, oh, okay, I'm a doer of the word, or I'm this and that. No. You got to apply it.
Sure, you're right. You're right that first, like we know that if you become like Jesus, if you become like Moses, or say I become like Muhammad, peace be upon him, they are the best role model of the world. So and they were not only talk, they were action. They deliver to the society what they think. So you're right that only talking is not the action. Our execution is required on that. So with this, I want to thank you very much for your so powerful and innovative thoughts. And I'm looking forward to have you more in my shows onwards.
Yes. Looking forward to collaborating as well. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Okay. So with this lovely discussion, we are moving towards our next speaker. Our next speaker is again a very, very innovative, strategic African woman. She is going to talk about the healthcare, as it is one of the most important dimensions of our discussion. So I can see, yes. Mojisola, how are you?
I'm fine.
Can you hear me?
Thank you for having me on.
That's great. It's a pleasure is likewise. And I want to thank you for your time. And I would like to give you the mic now for your introduction and your speech of the day.
Awesome. So I'll get started in sharing my screen. We'll go ahead and put this in slideshow. Well, hello, everyone. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Musa and everyone who invited me to the Pearls of Africa Conference. It's a great honor to be here. Like it said, my name is Mojisola Ndukwe. I am the founder of a nonprofit organization called Better Way Passage. And with Better Way Passage, what we like to do is to really hone in on healthcare back home. Our efforts are focused on bridging the gap in wellness and prevention through medical education, training, and technology. The ultimate goal of our organization is to build multi-use medical simulation and training centers throughout Nigeria, hoping eventually throughout Africa, to empower clinical systems and the overall economy. I think the common theme that we've had amongst all the speakers here are how innovation, how can we innovate to make the country better? I think one thing that Dr. Remi said, if I recall correctly, is how analytical the woman's mind is. It's actually clinically factored, how analytical our minds are. And one thing that came across as me, I'm not clinical by trade, but came across to me just having experience with the healthcare systems is the need for training in simulation-based centers. Having that hands-on experience is really how we can bridge the gap in clinical systems. So before moving into my topic, if anyone is interested in hearing more about the organization, feel free to check out our website, bwpinc.org, or follow us on LinkedIn. Now, as previously stated, the focus of my topic is bridging the gap in healthcare leadership. And in going into that, amongst the many women that I am on this platform with today, I want to acknowledge a few, as I like to call them, bridge gappers, working to lessen the healthcare disparities between countries like Nigeria and the US or the UK. The first one we have is Temi Giwa-Tubson. She is the founder and CEO of Life Bank. Life Bank is an organization focused on giving life-saving blood transfusions in Nigeria to individuals who need it, which, when we live in what we call developed or established countries, it's something that we take for granted. Next person we have is Uche Blackstock, who is a US trained physician focused on racial disparities in the clinical field, really highlighting what has been going on, the microaggressions that women face in the clinical field, and how we can change for the betterment of the future, not only in the US or the UK, but globally, how we can bring equality into clinical care. And last but not least, we have one of my dear friends, I like to call her my accountability partner, is Vanessa Adebayo. She is the founder of Africa's Mental Health Matters. And what they do is focus on bringing awareness and prioritizing mental health in different countries in Africa. I think with the global pandemic, we can see how important it is to be on top of our mental health and really make sure that we're prioritizing ourselves in all aspects of healthcare. So now we're moving into my topic. Healthcare has been a major topic over the last year with the global pandemic. I think we've heard about COVID a couple of times throughout the conference already, but it's something that is continuously affecting us in various countries. However, in Africa, we haven't really been having much. It hasn't affected Africa as much as we would have expected or one would have expected. Now, this could be for various reasons. It could be for lack of data collection, individuals looking to tackle the virus in the privacy of their homes, or it can even be that Africans have the ability to combat the virus due to environmental differences between our various countries and those in the UK and in the US, like myself. Our environment plays a big part in our health, and we're seeing that, take effect with COVID-19. Now, while the continent of Africa is having this strength in one area, we have weaknesses in many. And I think one thing that America specifically has shown us is how important leadership plays a major part in tackling the health and welfare of the economy. So, in my work with Better Way Passage, I've come across many clinicians in the diaspora that are looking to go back home, or some that are even already back home. I am originally from Nigeria. Those that are already home or wanting to go back home to improve healthcare in various aspects. However, the medical field isn't a place where it's beneficial to be a jack of all trades, as we say. And especially considering the different healthcare nuances that we may experience in various African countries. Dr. Hazel even talked about, something as simple as when a father passed away and the mother is not able to get land because it has to be given to the male child. We have so many nuances that play a role in different industries that can really put on a burden when it comes to clinicians. Inefficiencies in clinical education and training also account for what we like to call the brain drain. Dr. Musa pointed this out with Dr. Remi as well. The brain drain, which is individuals looking to practice outside of their country of origin. I've had this slide up for a while. This slide is actually a facility that my organization has been working with called IR-Doc Nigeria, and that's Interventional Radiology Nigeria. IR-Doc Nigeria is Nigeria's first clinically renowned vascular and interventional radiology facility. It was founded by Dr. Hamed Ninalowo, and IR-Doc Nigeria was the first facility to conduct a prostate artery embolism in Nigeria. However, the tall handling of clinical, financial, administrative, and philanthropy duties of the facility is what connected Dr. Hamed and I. That also is what drives many clinicians to close shop and revert to clinical work in more established areas globally. And this is what we're looking to prevent. Really, how do we bridge the gap between individuals that want to do well, that want to see the progression of our various countries, but don't have the full capable means. And I think all the women on this platform have discussed so beautifully how they are making efforts and strides to really bridge that gap. And so one thing that we're doing with bridging the gap in leadership is to, work with organizations like that of IR-Doc Nigeria. I personally take on the works of their philanthropic foundation and helping and assisting with marketing their facility, assisting with acquiring donations, and making sure that they have what they need to continue to progress and prosper within the workings of a country like Nigeria. And that is something that, I believe that we should all strive for. When it comes to working in different areas, different industries, doesn't have to be healthcare. You don't necessarily have to be the top of the food chain. I am, like I said in the beginning, I'm not clinical by trade, But being in the healthcare fields for so long, my background is health administration, health information technology, and really having that understanding of international business management, I've been able to connect with different facilities like that of IR Doc Nigeria and see where there are loose strings and how we can help to push them up, and let the clinicians focus on being clinicians rather than having to take on multiple tasks. And, to bridge the gap in leadership, we don't need a doctorate degree to accomplish that. It's simply having a skill set that can prove itself as valuable to another. And I'm going to leave this quote here. It says, "The most important breakthroughs rarely follow blaring trumpets and a red carpet. They are surprisingly fragile, passing through long, dark tunnels of skepticism and uncertainty." Look, when you're going into business, especially as a woman, we're often overlooked, often underappreciated, and that can cause a lot of self-doubt, a lot of questioning your motives and questioning your value and your ability. But we don't need to focus on that. Focus on the gift that you have been given and the opportunity that is in front of you to make a difference, no matter how small that opportunity is. If there's something you have the desire to do, be it in healthcare, be it in any industry, go for it. There's someone out there that values you, that values what you can do. Follow your dreams and invest in that. Invest in those that you believe in. And with that, I'll go ahead and end my presentation with that note of really just focus in on what you're capable of. Focus in on what your strong sets are, especially as a woman. I haven't had the glaring light or the biggest platform in regards to my nonprofit organization, but what we're doing is making a difference and making a difference for many. And that can be the same for all of us. So continue to strive, continue to push forward in all that you want to do. And that is the end of my presentation. I appreciate having the opportunity to be on this platform and speak on what my organization is accomplishing.
That's amazing thoughts, Moji. I want to thank you for sharing such thoughts. And you're right that the woman should know that what skill set she has, what is she can do. Because, I mean, in my experience of mentoring more than 7,000 women across the globe, I felt that there is a bit of struggle for a woman to know her self. For example, she is a doctor by profession, but actually she wants to do something else. She is a marketing professional, but after my mentoring, I felt that she is not suitable for what she is doing. She's suitable for something else, which if she will do, she will be more connected to her work and her soul. So it is really right suggestion that we should try to explore the inner self of our as a female and even male also. And in all problem solving theories, the first point is always identify the problem, and that's the problem, to identify a problem.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you are right.
Exactly.
At times we don't
gonna...
know like what's the problem. When I see a sad woman, it takes me maybe 60 minutes, 80 minutes to find out that why she is sad, because she don't know that why she is sad. She has random thoughts. So you need to align them. That's the role of a mentor. And a person like you can also do the same. So my question from you is that if you become the head of your country, head of your states, what you will do first that will uplift the women?
I think that's a wonderful question. I think if I was to become the head of state, one thing that I would do is really hone in on giving women the ability to go through trial and error. Oftentimes, when we want to go into entrepreneurship or we want to go into different skill sets, just as you just pointed out, you find out you are interested in something different than what you've been practicing. Oftentimes people are scared to pursue that because they don't want to face the trial and error. So giving women a platform that will allow them to go through that trial and error and find their success story. Success, entrepreneurship, it's not a one-way street. And so having that ability, be it through monetary resources, be it through marketing, be it through connecting and networking and partnerships. There are various ways that we can give women a platform to really help find themselves and find what they're capable of and be successful in it. Successful in a way that creates permanence and longevity is really what we should be focused on. And I think that's one thing that I work on with my nonprofit, and something that if I was to reach any higher status, I would continue.
That's amazing. I hope that one day I receive your call that you have elected through the parliament, and you want to show me that what change you bring for a woman in your country, and that day will be the great day in my life. So with this, thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to have you more in my next shows.
Awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me here. I appreciate the opportunity, and I look forward to what the rest of the conference has to offer.
That's great. So with this, we are going to move forward to our last speaker of the day, which is when you talk about women, of course, you talk about investment in women. So the investment is really important to bring to transform your dreams into a business or in a cause that is in your heart. You want to transform it into a reality. Of course, you need to raise a lot of funds from different sources. So I feel honored to introduce you with Ethar. Ethar is a founder and policy advisor. She is a global entrepreneurship committee member. She is very dynamic, upcoming investment advisor. So let's go and see what is her thoughts of the day.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ethar ElTinay, and I'm a policy advisor and the founder of the Think Tank Initiative, which is a MENA-based think tank. I'm also a member of the Global Entrepreneurship Committee at the Professional Women's Network, based in Paris, and the regional director at the International Youth Federation. I'd like to, first of all, thank Dr. Musa Shaikh and Berkeley Investment for inviting me to speak on this forum, the Pearls of Africa conference. My talk today is about women-led businesses in Africa, investment challenges and way forward. So why is this important? Women in sub-Saharan Africa make up majority of entrepreneurs, and the region has the highest rate of entrepreneurship in the world, according to a World Bank report. Women also play a key role in the economies of sub-Saharan Africa, which is the only region where women make up the majority of entrepreneurs. But also a range of impediments render women's businesses less productive, and they have fewer employees than those owned by men. Now, wage job opportunities are limited in Africa, and this drives men and women alike to start businesses and become entrepreneurs. And also by the report by the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, Africa seems to be the world's lowest share, or has the world's lowest share of entrepreneurs who started a business because they found opportunity. Most of them have started an opportunity business because of lack of other options. Women, overwhelmingly, they choose to enter sectors which have reduced opportunities for growth. They also have lower levels of available assets and capital to invest into their businesses, and they show less willingness to compete with men. They're also more likely to operate in the informal economy and less likely to adopt advanced business practices. Women also are obliged to make different decisions than men because they're constrained by gender-specific factors that hinder their growth and the growth of their businesses. These constraints are related to the context in which they operate, their endowments, the household-related factors, influence, strategic decisions that they make, which in turn lead to less productive outcomes for their businesses. So challenges for businesses also, not in the abnormal times of COVID now, MSMEs generally suffer from a lack of startup funding, even more during the COVID. Before the onset of COVID, World Bank estimated that SMEs had about a $331 billion financing gap in sub-Saharan Africa, which is likely to increase as foreign investors become very wary of increased risk. And then the donors will reassess their budgets and priorities post-COVID related economic challenges around the world. So one of the key funders, which is USA Development Fund, that awards grants up to around $250,000, had carried out a report, and it assessed businesses in 3 sectors: agriculture, off-grid energy, and youth-led enterprise. And in that report, all of the grantees interviewed highlighted the critical role that supportive funding has played in establishing their businesses, and how they follow on support and deference to grantee decision-making has enabled them to rapidly adapt to the challenges presented by COVID. And it enabled them as well to meet the immediate needs of their communities and meaningfully contribute to growth and stability with these fragile states. Also, challenges for businesses during COVID. The support for small businesses is vital, obviously, to achieving other development goals, particularly on a continent where many social goods and services, from education to health, are largely delivered through the private sector. While governments across the 3 regions of Sub-Saharan Africa, Central Africa, and West Africa have implemented robust policies to mitigate COVID-19, school closures, disruptions in supply chain, and increasing risk of violence and gender-based violence have placed an increased pressure on local businesses and communities to fill these gaps. Entrepreneurs started using innovative strategies, going online, pivoting their businesses to meet the needs of their communities. Also, community-led initiatives generate ongoing advantages for their communities because it's grassroots, from job to income creation, to improved health, security outcomes. Also, the essential contributions by small entrepreneurs to their local communities and national economies, and their critical role amid the pandemic, create areas for future collaboration between grant organizations and private sector partners in the region. And that's one area for our opportunity that private sector and donors should look at and consider when looking at funding and funding distribution. Some of the issues that are challenges that women face is the strategic decisions that they make within their endeavors or business endeavors. There are 4 areas that are identified by our World Bank report. It's mainly women choose the four areas is that, first of all, women differ from men in the sectors that they choose to work in. They second differ in the capital. There's differences in capital and labor within their organizations, and these differences make or break their organizations. There are differences in firm capabilities, and there are differences in women's willingness, obviously, to compete. The sectors that women choose sometimes, mostly, are in hospitality or retail in Africa or sub-Saharan Africa. But then also, the research also shows that female-owned enterprises that are operating in male-dominated industries are just as large and just as profitable as their male counterparts. they're also larger than those in the female-dominated sector. So it seems that women, when they find a role model who's a male, and that's also by research, they found out that those women have had encounters or upbringing or a male figure that they were following through. And that in its essence is also problematic, because we need to start normalizing feminine leadership, and that we don't look at male leadership as the way that we need to work, and the only way that we need to work. But that's what research has been showing around the area, that on ground, women are able to, or have succeeded, or some women have succeeded in those businesses that are dominated by men, to become just as good or sometimes better. Also, the capital and labor issue, for instance, female entrepreneurs in Africa have systematically lower levels of business capital, which is an issue, including equipment, inventory, and property relative to their male counterparts. Typical male-owned firm has over 6 times the capital investment that women have, and female entrepreneurs have lower levels of labor that contribute to gender productivity gaps, which is an issue. Relative to male entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs employ fewer workers and use fewer labor hours in operating their business. But in most countries, women obtain returns on their business labor that are on par with those obtained by men. So with less, they're able to do just as good. So it shows that women actually put a lot of effort into and passion into what they do. And this is also talking about Africa right now and the current situation in Africa. Although it may seem that they may be the case that male entrepreneurs use more capital and labor due to even access to funding and gender differences, the analysis in some reports shows that providing women with the same amount of investment resources is just as promising for women and men alike. So it's very important, and on this note, that we talk about access to funding and being able to distribute the funding equally between men and women, allowing women to have opportunities for funding, and access to funding is actually crucial for their growth. One experiment in Kenya found out by also one of the reports that women were less likely to compete with others. They prefer to not compete with other people, other businesses, which is may have been seen for a while to be an issue. Again, we go back to the whole feminine leadership and us promoting feminine leadership, and that if people prefer, women are generally more, we also talk about, it's a generalization, but let's say women are community builders, which means they tend to work for the community rather than individual selves. And that's something we should encourage. And it has shown that feminine leadership during the crisis of COVID had actually worked miracles for countries who were led by women. So if we talk about the current, the short-term solutions that we can adopt and are adopted currently within Africa and in other regions to help women get out of these situations and be able to access funding and scale up their organizations. First of all, supporting women with secure savings mechanism. Providing women with mechanisms to set aside some money for their businesses can actually help them insulate themselves from household demands, and they go to their businesses. Providing female market vendors also with access to savings has shown that it had led to a 45% increase in business investment. Another thing is providing large cash grants as part of a business plan competition, which has been the case through accelerators and incubators around the region and globally as well, can help address the capital constraints of growth-oriented firms, including ones owned by women. Another thing is facilitating export on SMEs. So a third thing is facilitating export for SMEs and MSMEs through programs like Empower Her by UPS that links MSMEs to external markets and has been deployed in Kenya. In terms of longer term solutions, we talk about removing legal constraints to gender equality the regulatory implementation gaps in terms of allowing women to own their land, to be able to represent themselves, and so on. Strengthening land tenure rights for women, expanding women's linkages to new business networks is very important, creating those networks in the first place and allowing them to go global. Offering women-friendly training. And like we said, an emphasis on female leadership and feminine powers and feminine leadership. Providing in-kind grants to female-owned firms, continuing to do that, and with a focus of how to help achieve that gender balance. Introducing financial innovations that reduce the collateral requirements, such as social impact bonds, for instance. Also facilitating access to children and child services, child care, to allow women to dedicate more time to their work and to their new set of startups and organizations that they're trying to bring to the table. Also incentivizing women to cross over to male-dominated industries as well and sectors through sharing information on the expected return in these sectors and through early exposure in the form of apprenticeships. And I wouldn't say the research says, you look at if it's a male-dominated sector, look at how they're doing. But again, I emphasize on how can you bring on your own leadership style as a woman or man, and how can you bring on in the community-based feminine leadership that we have to make it in a man's world and add something more. It's about creating space for yourself rather than competing within the same space. Finally, governments and quasi-government organizations have to work together to advance the gender equality, and that how it's very important because it is smart economics, it is sound business practice, and it is essential for development. Okay, there are three areas that we can work together as think tanks, government organizations, and quasi-government organizations, public sector, private sector, and the civil society, in designing programs that will target multiple obstacles and that will improve the performance of women entrepreneurs, which includes training programs that apply lessons from psychology and leadership studies to encourage women to act with an entrepreneurial mindset and take risk. Securing savings as well, saving mechanisms that provide a layer of privacy and security in the management of their funds, and large grants as part of business plan competitions to address capital constraints of growth-oriented firms. Also supporting policymakers in their efforts to improve the business enabling environment and in private sector development support as well. We also have to recognize that the results of these efforts will be limited if they are gender neutral and are not informed by evidence on what works to support women entrepreneurs to profitably run and grow their businesses. And also policy dialogues, very important, grassroots policy dialogues and program designs, and that should be integrated with various governments across the region, leveraging on the strength of the collective that Africa has and the potential that it can become, and unlocking the potential of women and women's businesses to become a major driver of economic growth and poverty reduction. With that, I conclude my talk, and I thank again Berkeley Investment and also all of you for being here and attending this talk. Have a great day.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a lovely thoughts you shared. And with this, we are almost in the end of our discussion. I want to thank all these innovative, strategic African women. Now you can see that Africa has power. 1.4 billion people, half of this is women. And look how ethical, strong, innovative, strategic, and humanistic women these are. And they are surely role models. They deserve the best to come to them to stop these brain drains from these countries. And we have to do a lot, lot. The most important is, as I mentioned, is to create awareness, how to raise your voice, how to transform your situation by entering yourself into policy making in parliament, in legislation, because if the woman in a democratic country will be a part of a parliament, she knows her problems and she can address them very nicely, as we see in New Zealand, and wherever in Germany, where we saw a female uh, leadership is working closely with male leadership, but their priorities are women, kids, health, education. It's really painful to see in 2020 that there is a woman delivering a baby on the street without a doctor, without having access to the medical centers. It's really painful to see a girl not going to school, or even if she is going to school, school has no standard of education. It's really painful to see a girl, a woman exploiting by men because she need to feed her family. She want to get a job, and people are trapping her in in illusions of giving her jobs, harassment. When she comes on the road, people whistle her, follow her, try to touch in extreme cases. It is really, really painful. And it's more painful when we see that this has been happening over years and years, and there is no positive change is coming. And such developing countries leader, when I see them in London, buying in the sitting in the real estate offices and buying the properties, it's actually increased my pain and pain. So I'm sure that we are ready for a change, and we are positively will contribute to make sure that women will have a free education, free healthcare, and access to justice at her doorstep. They are our mothers, they are our sisters, they are our daughters, and we have to protect, and they have to come up and join our hands shoulder by shoulder and side by side. With this, I will conclude the day today, and with a great wish that wherever you are, whatever you do, you stay blessed and stay safe.